Ron Slay, we appreciate the time as always. I know you have been in vocal recovery mode because, as we said last hour on the show, you were giving your all for Tennessee as best you could as a VFL in attendance in Detroit for the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight.
I most definitely gave my all. If you were able to talk to you guys able to talk to Chris Lowe, I didn't even think about, when you get caught in the moment, you don't really think about who's sitting next to you and how loud you really are. And I already know my voice can carry anyway. I've never had a problem not being loud. So I think I turned it up probably about 2 or 3 decibels louder in that game. I've coached a lot of games, trained, played in a lot of games, and have never in my entire life yelled like that ever. I mean, not consistently. It might be 1 minute or something like that, but this was 40 minutes. When they called the timeout, that's when I sat down to rest. I asked Chad Newman, man, who I love, the trainer for Tennessee, Chad, please bring me some water. Like, I'm wearing myself out over here, but it was all in fun, man. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. Definitely trade the loss for a victory, but other than that, man, Vol Nation, that was a road game. Yeah, people came out, drove up, flew up, whatever it was, especially after winning against Creighton. And it was a force. It was a force. It still was like 85-15 in favor of Purdue in the arena. That was, I don't know Purdue's ever had a game like that, dog. Like, that was deafening. And just the 15% of All Nation they brought it, man. And I'm proud to be a volunteer after experiencing that.
You were at the game, so your vantage point was a little bit different than ours, where we were sitting at home watching the game on TV. So you saw a lot more than what we saw. What did you see out there that you think lines up with some of the complaints that fans had about the officiating, about the way the game was called?
Well, first and foremost, man, I look at it through a lot of times as a post, as a physical guy, the way I played the game, and I know what to expect. I know how to defend it. I know how to use the nuances and the rules of the games and the angles and things like that when you're talking about a post matchup, especially whether it be size, whether it be more athletic. Like, you guard everybody differently. And in this situation, I thought Tennessee could have did a better job, and I thought Toby was doing. I thought JP did it, but what they do specifically, I thought you could have did a better job of meeting him. When I played, that was one thing that we knew going up against guys, whether it be Brandon Haywood or whether it be Mario Austin, whether it be Erwin Dudley, whether it was Udonis Haslam, the list goes on. Jamal McGlure, the list goes on and on. I can continue going against bigs. That, and I was going to be always undersized in the situation. So the same thing for them. When you're running down the court, you're taught to meet force with force. And you're supposed to this is my idea. I'm going to beat you to the free throw line. So by the time you get down there, I can be waiting. And as soon as we hit, it's going to be a collision. And the officials know it. The officials know it. My bad. The officials know it. And the opponents know it, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Everybody understands it. It's gonna be a collision. I'm talking about, you're gonna hit so hard, it's gonna be sweat flying, and then it's all about wrestling and making your way down to the post to get your position. Some like to go to the front of the rim, some give up the fight and go straight to the block. Regardless, whatever it is, you're able to, joust for position. I thought that's one way to do it. I thought Tobe did a good job. JP did a good job. I thought Jonas waited on him to meet him with the body instead of Jonas meeting him. Thought that was one thing that could have been different. But also, when you're defending a guy, you're also taught to keep your arm bar there. And I thought Toby did a great job of riding him out, making him catch it outside. Once a guy catches it, you're supposed to be able to take the one dribble as a guy with the ball, one dribble, and you have to absorb the first hit. You cannot fall on the first hit. It's going to be a foul on you. Absorb the first hit. The second hit, once you bounce back and establish your ground, then that is your spot. That's your space. Cannot be impeded by the offense. If they take another hit and they knock you off, regardless if you fall or not, that is dislodging me from my position. I am now at a disadvantage. That is supposed to be a foul on the offensive guy. If you're going to let it go, that's fine too. So that means I get the bang, he gets the bang, and let the shoe fall, let the chips fall where they may. That wasn't, to me, what was happening. Also, inside of that, once you do that and you kick the ball back out as a post, you're supposed to repost, not plant where you pass the ball out from and just stay right there. You're unguardable if you're able to do that. Refs let it go once, let it go twice, and then they start screaming from the baseline, clear the lane, clear the lane, clear the lane, big fella, clear the lane. That never happened. A guy his size doesn't need any help to create an advantage. If he passes it out from standing 2 feet from the rim and doesn't have to clear the 3-second lane and get the ball right back where he just passed it from, it's unguardable. No way. And I thought that was the part that the officials that they didn't let happen. Everybody else was officiated, I thought, with some regularity when you're calling the fouls as far as Tobe went, Jonas, J.P. Estrella, even their four-man. I forgot his name, the light-skinned kid. He was even called for some early fouls, but Edie didn't get any of those fouls. So that was amazing to see. I know it's a different way to officiate this guy, man, and it's difficult, but you have to set the tone regardless of whatever you're going to do. If you're not going to call 3 seconds consistently, you need to let that be known. So therefore, if you're going to give up some ground, you got to get some ground. No ground was given.
Is it Kaufman Wren?
Yes, that's him. Yeah. Like he was playing as active as Tobe, especially. He was just like a J.P. Estrella, like active, wild energy, which you need in those games because it's been officiated like that throughout. They've been just letting guys go. It's really like a bloodbath, and I'm cool with that. My thing is, if you let them do it, let us do it too. Let it be a play on, and you just continue to go. It is what it is. There's no way this man should go shoot 22 free throws and we shoot 11 as a team, regardless if you're challenging him. And it was times you were challenging. Gainey went in and shot a floater, and he bumped him after the ball was released and knocked him down on the ground. No foul called. Dalton Connect went in to play before, got bodied. No foul called. On the block, that was a clean block at the end of the game, but it was other times also when you're carving out space and your physical presence and you're trying to get rebounds, you just because your elbow lines up with my throat doesn't make it okay for you to box out in my throat. Like you can't do that. There's no way for me to defend that. So I thought that was a problem, man. Imagine if, to me, Zach Edey actually plays the same way Walker does. You know what I'm saying? It's just the height difference. So you're giving one the benefit of the doubt because they're tall and where they line up. It's almost like baseball, how the strike zone adjusts. You got to adjust the same thing for the bigs. That's part of it. But if it's not, then you're going to give him an advantage. And an advantage for a skilled big man like him, you don't need.
Ron Slay was there. You can hear it, what he gave for Tennessee this past weekend. Does Chad Newman does he get a pay raise because he's not only charged with doing everything he can to keep the players physically ready to go out there on the court, but VFLs to be able to support as best they can?
Hey, man. Yes, he most definitely. But I'll listen. I already have Chad Newman on my Mount Rushmore, so it is. Yeah. I mean, I give him all his props, his roses, and everything that he wants. So
yeah, he deserves the raise for everything he's done already. But the job requirements, they're growing. Yeah, just like with NIL, what players are asked to do when they get to campus.
If I'm gonna go to the game and give my all, man, I ought to get some perks, man. I ought to be able to drink the same water as the players and feel like they do.
That Bobby Boucher.
Yeah, get Ron Slay some of that Alaskan water. That's what he's looking for. In the text box, Brandon says, Ron Slay proving why this is one of the best hours on radio all week.
Yes, sir.
In the YouTube chat where you can see Ron Slay, he's not just for radio, he's for TV as well. Evan says, thank goodness for VFLs like Slay and Swain. Tennessee would be nothing without y'all and all the others.
Tennessee would be fine. It'd be all right. But Ron Slay is a handsome gentleman, perfect for TV.
That's right. It was a beautiful display by Dalton Connect shooting the basketball on Sunday. I know it's in defeat, but that was – you want to talk about going down swinging. He sure did.
Yeah, man, you got to love what DK brought. I thought all season long, man, he was steady. and way above average. This is a great get. Allowing him to be who he is, and his teammates allowing him also to be able to shine like that. That's tough, man, to be put in a position with a guy coming from the outside on something that you built, and you be able to lift him up and let him be the guy as far as attention goes and being able to carry you over that hump that you couldn't get over. So kudos to him, kudos to the staff, also his teammates, man, because a lot of time, especially in today's world with NIL and all of this, man, you see the jealousy bubble out. And it's like, dog, we've been working too. Like, why he get to get all this? You know, and I never felt any of that with this team. They were honestly, it felt genuine to see him do good. And that's a testament to the culture that these guys have, man. As far as his game went, man, he was answering the bell. Answering the bell, missed a couple of pull-ups that could have kind of separated and put the game away to me in a sense. But I do think one thing about it is feast of famine, gift and the curse. When you got a guy like DK, I think you look at it and you ask why. We always say, like, man, why is everybody standing around watching? Like, somebody should help them. Somebody should do something. When you're there at the games, you can see, like, it's a play being called for Dalton Connect. And when you're a scorer the way he is and as lethal as he is, with the free reign to have, it's difficult in that spot to say, okay, boom, the plays are being called for me. Maybe I can be a playmaker now. You know what I'm saying? So when you see guys like Josiah getting 5 or 6 shots, or Zakai handles the ball so he can get his shots when he wants to, but other guys that got to depend on the point guard to set him up, it's almost like they're watching, but at the same sense, plays being called for him to go on and to attack. So I think that's something, you know what I mean, to try to find the right balance. I know you can hear a lot of fans like, man, somebody else needed to help him. Yeah, that's kind of hard for me to help you, man, when I'm getting 6 shots and the space between it in real time is like 7 to 8 minutes for me to get the touch and get the feel of the shot and make it go in. You know what I'm saying? You got to you're a special human being. Them dudes playing the pros like Steve Kerr and John Paxson and all them guys. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. That's the knock for playing with a guy like Luka Doncic. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? He dominates the ball, and rightfully so. But on the flip side of that, he's more of a playmaker. So with Dalton, there's no knock to him or anything. Like, that's what you were asked to do. But I do want the fans to understand a lot of times those are the plays that are being called. And this, you know, Purdue went to their bucket getter in Edie. We went to our bucket getter. They both killed. I mean, I don't know what else you want. The difference and the discrepancy in the game was the free throws. That's the only difference in the game for me.
Yeah, that's why, Ron, you know, we've had some of the discussion today, a little bit yesterday of, okay, what does this offseason look like? Who does Tennessee go get? And the idea of replacing Dalton Connect, our first reaction was, well, they're not going to get a guy to replace Dalton Connect because what he is so rare. So it's going to be a combination of who they can attract in the transfer portal because they'll go get some guys, and then players that can develop. Where do you go in that conversation as Tennessee will have to replace, you know, arguably the best scorer in college basketball this past year?
Absolutely. And yeah, that's hard to find, man. You got to be able to go get a guy that can embody not only that, but the passion that he played with as well. So being able to go get a guy that can shoot the way he did, some guys that can create and go get a bucket. It may not be in the fashion that he was doing it with 30s and things like that, but if you can get those 15 points consistently, I think this team can thrive with a guy like that on the wing. You got to have somebody that's on the wing with that size that made a difference, that athleticism. All of that played a part in it. I would like to be able to see another Dalton Connect. I think it's going to be hard to find, but if you can't, to be able to go get a slasher that can go get you 15 points a night, you think about the steps that are going to be taken with a guy like Meshack, Freddie DeLeon. You get guys like that, Zakai, who should be even better coming back. You gotta look at those spots right there, getting that wing field, and see if you can get some things. You ought to have a bigger presence in the front court as well, so that alleviates some pressure from a guy having to be able to go out there and get a bucket like that and go score 30.
And it's okay to have an ace. I mean, look at the 4 teams in the tournament. Each team has an ace with DJ Burns, and then you got UConn over there with Newton, and then Alabama has Mark Sears. I mean,
That's right.
Edie at Purdue. So like, it's okay to have an ace, but you just got to have the right supporting cast.
That's right. Yeah, you got to be able to deliver. I think that's what separates teams. You got the guy that can get you over the hump. But like all those teams you named, the supporting cast is consistent within those games. And some of those games, the supporting cast are going to have 20, 18. You look at what Caitlin Clark, what happened with her last night, 21 and 18 from her counterparts was like, oh, okay, yeah, this can be hard for you to handle. So you're right, Swain. You just got to be able to fill in the pieces, fill in the void that's going to be left by them, and it can be by a collective effort. Don't got to be by one.
Hey man, why they put Haley Van Lith on Caitlin Clark last night like that, man? That wasn't right.
Morgan did that on purpose.
Why she do that to him?
I don't know what Morgan got going on, dog. Like, you got too many athletes. Michaela Williams, you got Flau'jae Johnson. Like, it's too many athletes out there to have Van Lith. Like, that was man. Haley, before she even came to LSU, wasn't no defensive quick twitch stopper or nothing like it. Like, Caitlin Clark did what she was supposed to do. Oh, this who you gonna guard me with? All right, cool.
Food.
I got something for you.
Food.
That was quite a showing last night, Ron.
That should have been the second game too. Like Juju and them and Paige, and they should have played the first game. I was watching, and I love Paige Beckers. I love Juju Watkins. Like, I could watch them all day long. I couldn't watch them with the same eye after watching LSU and Iowa.
Yeah,
it was tough, man. Yeah, they gotta get that right.
Yeah, what do you think there of Caitlin versus Paige? That's the next round there in the Final Four.
Gonna be tough, man. Paige Beckers is healthy. Like, she's a problem. She ain't no little girl either, no little woman either. Like, she got some nice size on her. Know the game. Athletic enough and healthy. So it's gonna be interesting. She's long too. I think she's longer than what she may seem. Like, them arms, she got some long limbs, man. So it's gonna be interesting to see if she can disturb Caitlin a little bit, and how much Gino does a terrific job of taking away what you do great. In games. So it's gonna be interesting to see who else steps up like they did in that LSU game to try to help her out and get them going.
Yes, that game last night with UConn and USC. That game should have been first. It's unfair to try to have to follow up that game. It's kind of like us trying to do the show between 2 and 3 after the sleigh ride. It just ain't the same. It just ain't the same, man. It ain't the same.
We just replay it,
man.
That's a good idea.
Hey, man, you need some help, man.
I've been told that a couple times, Ron. I'm working on it, man. I got a therapy appointment here coming up.
Ron Slay is with us. We have another half hour on the sleigh ride. We'll talk more Tennessee basketball. Ron, we'll talk about what this team accomplished, because the defeat and the disappointment of that one game can take over a conversation when there's so much to talk about what the team did. We'll talk about that. Lady Vols are looking for a new coach as well, with the news yesterday that Danny White's going to go in a different direction. We'll get your take on what might happen there next with the Lady Vols program, which I know you care so much about. So we have a lot to get to with Ron Slay, VFL with us, thanks to Native Design with the Native Nursery. NativeTN.com is the website. And, Ron, you're a big supporter of Lady Vol basketball as well. News came out yesterday afternoon that Danny White is making a change. Kelly Harper is out after 5 seasons as the head coach. And we talked last segment about Iowa and UConn and the display at LSU, what they've done. And last hour we were talking about Tennessee fans want to be back in that discussion. I know you want to see Tennessee back in that spot. So how does that happen? What does Danny White need to do to try to get Tennessee women's basketball back where you and many Tennessee fans want it to be?
Man, you gotta go. You gotta go get a great mind and someone not scared to create their own legacy. I think the recruiting aspect of it is going to be key. I would love to be able to sit in those conversations and understand like how connected they are to the grassroots program. I think all successful programs have someone in there on their staff that's deeply connected to the grassroots programs. Because when it comes to recruiting, you got to be able to go get these dogs, and these dogs recruit themselves after that. We're seeing that in football with Josh Heupel. You go get the right person to be the mouthpiece for you and make your job a lot easier. You see it with Juju Watkins. The reason that class is coming to USC is because she's there. You know, everybody wants to play with a great player, so you got to do what it takes to be able to go get them. One of the people that I would love, I had 3. Kara Lawson, I would love to see Kara Lawson be back there. I think her ties to the NBA Her ties to some of the high-profile players would do nothing but help her being around the game, not only playing the game at a high level, but being able to coach at a high level. You did it in the USA team, going to go win gold in the 3-on-3. You did it in the NBA with a great mind like Brad Stevens. A good friend of mine was on that staff as well, James Larinaga, son of Jim Larinaga, who played with me over in Italy. So we had a good relationship, and he bragged about her, how thorough she was, and able to stand on your own 2 feet. I think she did a great job at Duke. Another one would be Vols over at Louisville. I thought they shot at him earlier before getting Kelly in. And in that spot that he was in then, I thought it was a little different. He was hot. He was hot at Louisville, boy. They were going to Final Fours and everything. So I think it may be a little different now to approach him. You know, he can recruit. You know, he's well respected. You know, he can coach his butt off. Matthew Mitchell, I think, is another interesting one. You know what he did in the SEC with the resources he had at Kentucky at the time. Thought that was pretty dope, you know. And he also, you know, was around at Tennessee, so he understands the tradition and the history of it. But I think he also is comfortable in who he is. You know what I mean? Being a 2-time coach of the year in the SEC, knowing what it takes to be able to go get recruits, having ties down here to Tennessee and in the southern region as well, you can be able to get out and go get it. And he had an amazing staff when he was at Kentucky. It wasn't just because he was coaching well. He had some recruiters that were able to go get it. So I think that's going to be key moving forward.
We haven't seen a male head coach here. How much does that play into maybe the decision if you were making a decision?
Yeah, I think it was difficult early on to do it, you know, as much as Coach had done for the women's game, well, as much as she done for the ladies Vols brand, as much as she's done as far as growing the women's game and including everybody in it. It was kind of hard to be able to kind of come in and replace her. Why would you try to replace her with a male coach? But I do think some male coaches has an advantage when coming in and coaching the game. Being able to talk to some former Lady Vols and some female players. A lot of them like being coached by males. I think a lot of them think that, you know, it's no sugarcoating, there's no mind games being played a lot in situations, and you always have that take this the right way, that father-daughter dynamic in it. You know what I'm saying? And this is not me saying this. This is former Lady Vols and former female players that are saying this. So I had to ask those questions before being able to spew that. So I think you look at it and you're far enough away from Coach Summit coaching her last game to where you are now, and being able to have that be because you tried it. You tried it that way. You went and got Holly, you went and got Kelly, you know what I mean? You tried it that way. And it's okay to reach out. Winning solves everything, and being able to have the time and patience to go with it and have somebody to take that program in the direction you want it, to be able to keep up with everything else, which is totally different than any other expectation. It's not just Sweet 16. I was sitting there talking to someone. I was like, man, boy, they can get this SEC regular season championship, boy. They get to the Elite Eight or the Final Four. That's going to be a hell of a season. And they looked at me and was like, man, we ain't won a national championship since '07. We ain't been to a Final Four since whenever. I'm sitting there like, dang, our expectations are totally different. So you got to have somebody being there willing to step in there and understand what it is and go get it.
Yeah, I mean, think about the men's side. If Duke made the Elite Eight, that's really impressive. And everybody at Duke's saying, well, who cares? Because the expectation is to go beyond that. And the same would apply at Kansas. And I know Kentucky's they're trying to get back to the Sweet 16. But in general, that's their conversation. That's the Lady Vols conversation. Excuse me, I apologize. I shouldn't be calling out names.
Stop starting stuff, Josh.
But that's the Lady Vols conversation right now. When we talk about you as a VFL or Swain on the football side as a VFL, I can only imagine the text threads among former Lady Vol basketball players.
It's great to hear, man, and to know it's still in that space. Like, to understand that when Kelly was let go, like, this was national news. Like, it was breaking everywhere. So it lets you know where the Lady Vol program still is and what kind of high esteem is still held in. So that's good to know. But you gotta keep it going.
I got a lot of respect for the former Lady Vol players, because Man, you watch football games over the years and been on Twitter during football games. Like, there's a lot of former players be on there like, yo, this ain't gonna work. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Get him out the game. We sorry. I can't watch this no more. Replace the coach. Like, we let it fly. But you just don't see that. You don't see that with the Lady Vols. And I know how hard it is for them to see the product on the court not be what they're used to seeing and not saying anything. So, like that, there's a code, it seems like, that's been honored when it comes to public criticism of whoever's coaching the Lady Vols over the last 12 years or so.
Yeah. Yeah. And you look at it, Swain, and I think the code lies in the people that have been in that position were Lady Vols. So one thing is going to be difficult to do is criticize one of your, like, they're real life sisters. You know what I'm saying? Once you're in that Lady Vol program, it's you go to a different level, and it's a different respect, different love that you have for each other. So one thing about it that it's going to be hard to have them come out and say, you know what I mean, like this person, like Kelly or Holly or Mickey DeBoss, they can't get that. I never expect that to happen. But one thing about it, in them chats that they got, you better believe they don't want to stand for that at all. You know what I mean? They want to win. Yeah.
Ron Slay is with us. We have one more segment on the sleigh ride, a big conversation, what will happen with the Lady Vols vacancy. We'll look ahead to the offseason, but put a bow on a season that Ron Slay has talked about. Very proud of with what the team, what the program was able to accomplish, and see if we can get some Final Four picks before we wrap up the sleigh ride today. One more segment to go. Ron, you covered what Tennessee was doing this season for the SEC network, of course, discussing the Vols on 3HL as well. We also had a chance to follow them in the postseason. You were over there in Charlotte when Tennessee was competing in the first weekend. You were in Detroit for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games, and I know that you've talked about it. You mentioned on this show and tweeted out you were proud of what the players did, the coaching staff. I think overall the way the program has been represented to go along with the on-court results.
Yeah, no question about it, man. You got to give a tip of the cap to these guys coming together the way they are, caring for each other the way they are, blocking out the noise and rallying around each other. I thought, throughout the season, there was a lot of questions around the fifth-year guys and Josiah Jordan James and Santi and the production that they were giving with it, how much you would like it to be more and things of that nature. I thought they handled that well. I thought they were able to lean on their teammates in times and also be able to deliver when needed to. And also having a guy like Zakai being able to come back and, spearhead this team into the direction that they went into that Elite Eight. That was dope to see coming off an ACL. You almost forget that he had an ACL tear. The way he was able to come out there and play and the minutes that he was able to play was really good to see. The young guys getting their opportunity to shine. Cam Carr, Freddie DeLeon, JP Estrella, all these guys, Cade Phillips early on. And then, getting to see guys be able to flourish and take that next step like they was able to do. Tobe Awaka coming on at the end, I thought was really good. Gainey also being a new addition, being able to, with Dalton Connect, being able to come in and kind of fit right in. I think that's tough to do in this climate today. And it's a testament to these guys, how much they care about each other, how much they care about this coaching staff. I thought that's one thing that really doesn't get mentioned because how polarizing Coach Rick Barnes is. And, with the Hall of Fame nod and all of that, the guys behind them, man, how much they hold them down as far as the assistants go, from Rod Clark to Lance to Gainey to GP, all of them, man, they do a terrific job of being able to communicate not only with Coach Barnes, but with the players as well. You see a lot of times when they exit the game, a lot of them get one-on-one time with the assistants and, kind of bring them back down to a center as far as what they need to do and going back in, how they can change the game. You got to love that. And then also, man, with not only this team, but being able to be around, like, this team's parents and family, man. Like, they got some special people associated with this program, man. Being able to meet Josiah's pops and grandparents, his granddad, and from Santi's to Dalton Connect's mom and dad, and also the list goes on, man, with different people that I was able to run into and create a conversation with, and then create ties. Meshack's mom and dad, man, like the circle of basketball is so small, and to be able to be a VFL and walk around with your head up, and chest high. It's a special thing, man. So I want to send a special shout out to those guys. Those guys, they set a culture intact, man, that these guys can continue to run with and expect to do some great things. Like no question, am I happy about how this team went out and played and represented this university.
Ooh, man, it's dusty in here, boy. I need some allergy medicine. Ron, how involved would you be if you are Zakai Ziegler, Jamal Meshack, Josh Ward? When I interviewed for the job, he wasn't hiring me, but he was conducting the interview. That's how important he is here, man. He's a vet. He's a legend here. So, like, if you were Zakai Ziegler, are you involved with the interview process when you're going out getting players from the portal, seeing who you want to play with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anytime a guy's coming into that situation, you hear about it. You heard about it with Dalton. Like, I remember getting there and watching those guys play pickup, and then waiting to meet Dalton and couldn't meet him because he was still watching film with Coach Barnes. This was on a visit, so I knew right then, man, the way the guys raved about him, he was accepted with open arms. So it's going to have to be a puzzle that fits. And Zakai should have the loudest voice on the team, along with Meshack growing. And understand that what they're walking into, this is not only a guy that you got to be able to fit in with on the court and in practice, but off the floor as well. Like, they're a unit and they move as such. You spend a lot of time together. And if it's somebody, not saying you're not going to have spats and things like that, but if it's somebody you can't get along with off the court, the chemistry is not going to come through on the court as it was this year. So you got to have those guys and understand where their background is, what they come from, what their values are, what the core of them as a person is. And I think that right there is different than you see in a lot of other programs. A lot of them are like plug and field, and all right, we'll figure it out, man. We'll take the talent over. Sometimes it's not about the talent. Sometimes it's about getting the character of the guy to be able to fit into this team, and that character is so important. The talent is honestly a bonus for what you got going, because you're going to play a particular way. And if you're not character built and strong enough to be able to handle what's going to be given to you, you're going to crumble on it, and then it's going to tear everybody else down.
Roster has to change, but the culture doesn't.
Hey, Pastor Slay, you take Venmo or you take Cash App? You got the collection plate.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, man, dude, listen, Swain, this is the funny thing, man. When you look at it and you out here, like, I've never been able to be on this side of it and be able to go to these fanfares and tailgates and things like that. So you see it. Yeah. And it's not only in the programs, though. It's honestly from Danny White, from the chancellor. You see it with President Boyd. Like, all of these people are moving in the same path. Like, they're moving in the same direction as one. Like, you don't really see one without the other. And I think it's fun to be around, man. And that trickles down to the heads of these programs. You know what I mean? And as far as basketball, softball, football, baseball, whatever it may be. Like, that's why it's like that. And it's like that everything school moniker, like they took on. It really means something. Like, that was an amazing sight to be a part of going to Detroit. Like, I really felt it. It was like, damn, this is different, man. Like, it was really, really different. And this is from big donors to small boosters to fans to older fans to little kids. Like, everybody was excited, and the energy is so good. I would be shocked to see a person come on campus and have those kind of values and not go to Tennessee. It's tough to see.
Yeah, we saw you in the photo, man. We cheesing. You was happy.
I was very happy.
Very happy.
And fried.
And screaming. Yeah, using the voice, using those vocal cords at
Voice
the game.
Is out of here.
Final 4 picks, do you want to make them? Is it too painful? What do you think?
No, I can do that.
Okay.
No, I can do that. I think it's a collision course with Purdue and UConn, man. Honestly, we're gonna see how the game is officiated with DJ Burns and Edey, and see if he's able to play, and are they gonna call it both ways? Depends. If you're gonna be able to camp in the lane, there's nothing you can do. If you're gonna let a dude go shoot 40 free throws, then good night, NC State. Y'all might as well get ready. But I think the most intriguing one is going to be Alabama and UConn, man. Like, Alabama, if they play their game and get hot, they some of the best in the country, man. So it's going to be interesting to see Big Clean and how to get out there on on Grant Nelson, and if Grant Nelson is still on this tear, that matchup right there could prove advantageous for Alabama.
Yeah, what a tournament run he's had. On the women's side, South Carolina, NC State, and then UConn, Iowa. Who's playing in the title game? Who wins it?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go. South Carolina and Iowa, man. Even though I think Paige Beckers and them are gonna present a problem for Iowa. Can they get over the hump? I think that UConn has the star power. They got the counsel you out power. As far as the intangibles go, and they got a big down low that doesn't get a lot of credit, but she can work as well. So I'm interested to see that matchup. I wanna say UConn puts it to bed, but to tell that Caitlin Clark is on right now, somebody got to go show me they can do it. And I think you see South Carolina and Iowa.
Ron Slay, the Slay Ride, just for everybody's interest, we haven't decided for sure or figured out, are we going to do Sleigh Ride next week, or is this the final run with Tennessee exiting? Either way, we're going to talk to you again soon. We appreciate everybody tuning in, supporting, telling us how much they love and appreciate the Sleigh Ride, Ron. We appreciate you. Hopefully we're talking to you next week, or either way, we'll talk to you soon. The offseason will be worth following the moves of Tennessee. But we appreciate you so much, and we appreciate Native Design making the Sleigh Ride happen as well.
Man, most definitely. I appreciate you guys always making this a fun experience, man. And Jacob Dunaway, shout out to them. Everybody that always listens. Appreciate you guys, man. And the Sleigh Ride continues.
Rest up, tea and honey to get ready for 3HL, Ron. We appreciate you so much.
Appreciate it, guys.